What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Young Riaz, good afternoon. Well, you in evening time. Good evening. What's going on with everybody? How y'all feeling? What's going on? So today we gonna talk about. Well, let me go back for a second. Right, last week we was talking about expectations, and we was really talking about expectations of yourself. Right. So what I'm gonna do is just talk about expectations of what the definition is of expectation. Expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. Um, so even in that definition, the belief of something is more of a thought process. You know, you think it can happen, uh, it may happen, I'm not sure, which makes you have a little bit of doubt in the situation because you just don't know if it's possible or not, right? So today, we're going to talk about Cognize, and I'm going to put up the definition of Cognize for you. So Cognize is perceive, to know, or become aware of, right? So that means, you know, we had like I know that 1 plus 1 is 2. Uh, I understand why 1 plus 1 is 2. You put everything together, it's more than likely leading you to a knowing, or dare I say, a truth. So there may be an experience of something that may occur in this situation because, well, not because, the result of something. But here's something, we just gonna break it down a little bit more, right? So I'll break the word down for you. So uh the root word cogn is comes from the Latin verb cognoscere, which means to know or to learn. This root is central to many English words related to knowledge and understanding. Cognition, recognize, cognizant, it's all a fundamental concept behind cog is knowledge, acquisition, and awareness. So now you see where that thing of knowing is brought into the actual word cognize. So we break it down again, and we put ize into the prefix, and excuse me, a suffix, and it's a verb forming suffix that means to cause, to be, or conform to, or to resemble. It derives from the Greek word and has been used in English since the late 16th century. Commonly, it is added to adjectives and nouns to form verbs that means render, make, or convert into a special characteristic, a specified character or form. Actualize, hospitalize, motorize, fossilize, compartmentalize, so on and so forth, right? So there we see how these words come to be, right? So in order for any of this to score up, how you feeling? So in order for anything to happen, right? So when we leave the expectation level, right, we go from a belief to elevate this belief into a knowing. An experience must happen in your life, right? So for example, I I always thought I could be a great parent. I always thought I could be a great dad, right? So now as I came to become a parent for the very first time, I had work to do. I had to elevate myself. I had to sacrifice myself. I had to give up certain things to be the parent I need to be for my son, right? And for the most part, I know that I've done a great job just by the things that I have given up, right? To be in the picture, to be a dad, right? You give up certain people, you give up certain things. Why? Because you're making room to be the parent that you need to be for your child, right? So eventually what happens is you know that you elevated from belief to knowing, right? You went from a feeling to a logical thing, right? So you go from belief, from emotion to logic. How do you know that? Miss Chicago, how you feeling? Welcome in, welcome in. You go to do that because there's growth that has developed in your life. Whether we understand it or not, we must know that growth is essential to each and every one of our lives. And I'm not just talking about the physical growth, I'm talking about the mental growth, the spiritual growth, anything that's not dealing with the physical per se, right? If it comes out of you that you have grown, like if there's a eyewitness to say that your character has grown from this to that, is because you have elevated in your life. You have done something to where I see that you wasn't who you once were. If you go around your friends or people that you know, let's just say from high school till today, some of them may say, "Yo, you might still be the same." Some might say you have become more wiser or more understanding or all a little bit more knowing than what I know, right? All because you have elevated something in your life. The people that stagnated, they're going to stay the same. The people that don't care about nothing, they're going to settle for less. But in order to know something, you must elevate your thought process from a thought, from a feeling of emotional thinking to a knowing. Because once you know something, it takes away a lot of the emotional aspects of an idea, which means you have elevated from a belief to a knowing, right? In the world of religion, if you had an experience and somebody, if you had an experience, a come, what they would say, a come to Jesus moment, and you felt that God told you to do it and you've done it, and it's what makes you who you are today. You have elevated from a belief, even a faith mode, because faith is still part of a believing, right? It's a higher level of believing because you stepped out on it, on a belief, and now when you get the answers that you got and it works for you, now you have a relationship with God, and once that relationship occurs, it becomes, you know what God has done for you. You see what God has taken you from and brought you into. If you say God has brought you from the darkness into a light, that's an experience that only you and the Creator God has had in your life. So that's a cognization. That is a knowing that, hey, God can pull me through this because He's brought me from this to this. If you was homeless and now you have a roof over your head and you're maintaining it and you're managing, you know that God got you to the situation. That's a knowing situation. That's what cognizing means. That's what cognization means. It means that somebody put a picture together. Well, you had the idea, right? God placed you in the situation, and now all of a sudden you are experiencing the fruits of your labor. You thought that you can do it, now that you can. As I was saying last week, the little engine that could. Now that he got to the top of the hill and now he's on his way down and he's cruising, he knows that he can make it up that hill. He don't have to, I think I can, because now when he goes up that hill, I know I can do it. There's no doubt about me making it up that hill. So the thought of belief has been elevated to a knowing situation. That's what cognization is. That's what cognize. That's what the word cognize is. To understand that, to understand, to learn that you can do something, even if others don't think you can. You know that you can. You learned that you've done it. Why? Because you made it up that hill. You climbed out of the darkness. You climbed away from the naysayers. You got away from the doom and gloom people. And now you are up the hill looking down at those same people who doubted you in the first place. You know, people took advantage of your generosity. People took advantage of your humility. And some people might say, I thought I was doing the right thing. You need to know, you need to have the cognization that you did do the right thing. It just happened to be for the wrong person, the wrong individual, the wrong group of people. Why? Because if you know you're doing the right thing and you get taken advantage of, if you get ostracized for that, that's their problem. That's not your problem. The problem is that people take advantage of your generosity. That does not mean that you don't know that you're doing the right thing. It just means people take advantage of you. It just means people don't accept you for who you are, and that's okay, right? It's okay because there's going to be somebody that understands or knows that your kindness is not a weakness, it's a strength, and they will draw to you and help you sharpen yourself and still become a better version of yourself. Now, just understand, just because you have a knowing of a thing, it doesn't mean that you can't elevate even higher. But I'm sticking with the word cognize because it's an elevation from expectation to knowing, from a belief to a knowing, from a emotional thing to a logical thing. This is just growth in each and every one of our lives that we can attain, but it's up to you, the individual, to know that you can elevate yourself, that you can become the better version of yourself, that you know that is a needed aspect because someone, maybe in your family, maybe it's your children, maybe it's your it's your cousin, maybe it's a niece or nephew. There's someone looking to you for understanding because you have experienced the things that you have experienced. Most people think with age comes wisdom. That's not always the case because you can be grown, you can be 35 and still act like you're 17, 18. You may not have experienced anything. You may still have that large thing of expectations because you have not experienced their growth yet. But this is about us. So we have to understand, we have to elevate ourselves to a knowing and know and understand that we can't place expectations on people, even if we can see that they can make it to that level. But if they don't do it, that's not a fault of ours. We can do everything we can for a person to elevate themselves, but if they want to stay where they at, that's not on you. That's not on me. That's not on anybody else. It's on the individuals. And yes, this may not be a popular conversation. It may not be something that people will gravitate to, but it's just me having a conversation with you that in order to develop or to uh, conform or resemble, that you got a better understanding of the belief that you once had in the individual. That is what cognizing is. That's what cognization is. You have a better thing. Like if you like a person, you should be. Most people expect to elevate that like to a love, and then for it to grow even further. But a lot of the times, people just doing things to do it, to get, to get into the drawers or get into the panties or get in somebody's pockets. They're not doing these things for a right reason. They just understand that they're doing this because they believe they can gain something out of it. We do things in order to elevate ourselves. All right, if I'm in a relationship to look at the bigger picture. If it's marriage, if it's developing, even if it's to a point of getting to a engagement, that's still a growth. It still means that you have to work to understand that this person may be the right person for you, even to the point where you are asking to get engaged to the person, right? And then that's when everything else happens. The man gets on a knee, proposes, she says yes. there is a belief now, or there's a understanding. Scott, what's happening? Um, there's an understanding that you see the potential. You know that she's the right one for you. Otherwise, if it was just a belief, you would never ask the question in the first place. It still would be that thought that it's possible that she's the one. It's possible that he's the one. Just like if you conceive a child, in the right frame of mind, you say, I I I think he's going to be a great dad because the things that I've seen, it showed me that he is going to be a great father to this child, and then you have the child. But there still must be it must be a growth from expectation to knowing, right? Because it takes a lot to mask a lie, right? And you must have great discernment to pinpoint if this person is faking it till they make it, or if it's a true thing that they're going to do the best. Are they at a high point of a better version of themselves, not the best version, but a better version than how you met that person, right? That's why dating is necessary in order to come to an understanding if this person is going to be the right person, right boyfriend, right girlfriend for you. And even as you go through the boyfriend girlfriend stages, you're looking up, you're elevating to the next level. You're trying to see if this is a marriageable person. Yeah, I'm gonna say marriageable. If it's not a word, y'all bear with me. But if they're a marriageable person, you're still looking to see the things that they are capable of. Okay, so most women say they want a man that's going to provide for them, right? It may not be the $100,000, but they may provide peace and protection for them. So then they say, okay, now that I see it, now that I know that he can do it, I could now elevate this man and say, you know what? I think I'm ready to marry him. But you still would have to wait for that man to see that development, that growth in you, because he's the one that's going to, well, traditionally, he's going to be the one that's going to get on one knee and ask you to marry him, right? And vice versa. If you are doing the womanly thing, you keep him calm on a rough day, even if it's just over the telephone. If he comes over to see you or you go to see him, he can give you all of that negative energy from the job, and you bring comfort and peace to him. That's when he knows she's the right one. I will submit myself to you. I will ask you to marry me, and we will now have a bigger picture, because I know that you can handle the things that I do on a daily basis. This is what cognizing is. This is what cognization is. It's a knowing of something, but it's a development of elevation from believing to knowing, from a thought to now you understand that this thought, or that this thought can be achieved. You know it because you have achieved it. You are in it right now. And now, because of that, knowing that cognization, now it's time for you to see if you could even grow from where you are at that particular point. So, I truly, well, I'll say this. I know that the people that's hearing my voice, they can do this. I know there's people that's going to believe that they can. That's why they're sitting there. They're going to fight themselves. There's going to be a battle within, because I think I can. I think I can. But when you know you can, you're going to try to do the best thing for you to get to that place where you know you should be, if that's where you want to be. See, it's about what you want, right? Or excuse me, it's about what you need. If you need to get there, you're going to get there. If that's what you want to do, you have to elevate that even to a knowing, a need, right? Because if you don't do that, you're not gonna strive as hard to get to your destination. I know I need to get to my children, so I'm gonna bend I'm going to bend my back. I'm going to break my back to get there. The car breaks down. All right, cool. Let me see if I can rent a car. Let me see if the bus goes that way. If they're that far away, let me see if the train runs or the plane. If I could afford it, I'm going to find a way to afford them tickets to get to my children if they need me. right? You know that's because that's a need. You understand, you know they are clamoring, they are crying for you. So you're going to do any and everything that you can to get to those children. That's what cognize means. It means you have an understanding. I'm not going to say duty because that's not in the definition, but here's the reality. You have a duty to yourself to elevate yourself from a thought or a belief to a knowing. You know you have to do what you have to do. As we get older, we know we must take care of ourselves. Why? Because the consequences, if we don't do better, we're going to slip and we're gonna have these ailments. We are no longer spring chickens. We are not 21, 22, and everything is going to be all right. If you run outside, with no jacket on and it's a snowstorm out there, you're going to get sick in your 40s and 50s, right? And first of all, let's just come to the reality. If we made it to our 30s and 40s, it's because we got through certain situations. We know what we're talking about because a lot of us was not at that place of understanding back then. Some of us was unkind. Some of us was not. We was wild. I'll put it like that. We did some things in our teens, in our early 20s. We was out there running amok with no care in the world. Now that you understand that you must take care of yourself, it's a different attitude. It's a different a different scenario for you. You can't just, all right, I'm going to pop up and go to this club and shake my tail, or I'm going to bring this man home around my kid. I'm going to bring this man around me because he's fine, or I'm going to bring this girl around me because she got a nice body. It's not about that no more. It's included, but that's not the end all be all, because you have an understanding that now you have to be compatible outside of the physical nature. You got to be compatible within each other. You got to know how to touch the heartstrings of that young lady. She must understand that she must touch the heartstrings of your mind and your soul to where you can be comfortable around him. So that way y'all can have those. Baby, I had a rough day at work. They try to put all of this work on me, and I'm like, I can't do it because I'm not in the frame of mind of doing A, B, or C. Or when my man comes home, or if I come home and he's home early, he has my bath water ready, or he has dinner ready for me because I had that tough day at the job, and certain things that occur. You must have that understanding. You must have that cognization of who the individual is that is around you. And because we are around ourselves more than anybody, we must know what we can stand, we could take care of, we could stand up for, we could outlast. We can outlast a day of frustration, right? Hopefully. And if we can't, we need people that's going to be around us to say, you know what? Listen, I'm your ear. Just tell me what your problem is, right? We see people with the mental health situation, and they don't have that person to talk to, or they feel they must clamor to themselves because they don't know how to release it. They don't have the cognization. If they release it, I could feel better about myself. I can be the person that I need to be going forward, because I don't know. I thought I can do it, but I'm afraid, and I'm afraid because they may weaponize it against me and hold it over my head and just talk about it like, you've done so much for me. While I thought it was a nice gesture for you to do, you might weaponize it against me. And those are the things that, that's why I said it takes time, everybody. It takes time to gather that relationship. It takes time to understand that person, because there's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of belief that, what, it's been done to me before. So even if I am consistently showing you that I'm a kind person, there's somebody doubting you because they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. How many times you've been around somebody and you've been your natural self, and they still look at you side eye, even if you didn't do nothing to go against that individual, even if you didn't do anything to show that there's going to be a drop off from who you was yesterday to who you are today. right? It's because they allow fear to become a false thing. Word was talking about delusional, right? It's a facade. It's a fake belief of something, right? Even though there's evidence that I am a kind and generous person, there may be somebody out there waiting for the shoe to drop and say, "Damn, that's that dude right there. I told y'all he was faking it all this time. He was faking it. He's not that kind. He's not that generous. He don't give a damn about you." But yet, all this time, I'm sitting here doing the things that I do on a normal basis, believing that knowing that my consistency should be who I am, but there's somebody who's still in the belief process, doubting it because they're waiting for that other shoe to drop. We've been around people like that. Let's just be honest and realistic. We've been around people that doubted us because their shortcomings, their errors of their ways. But you yourself, you should know who you are, right? There should be no more believing that I am something. I know I know who I am. I know that I'm a kind and generous person. I know that I'm a person that if you call me 4 o'clock in the morning, even if I'm half asleep, I'm going to wake up and answer the phone for the most part, if I can wake up and answer the phone, to come. Okay, what's wrong? What's the matter? Scorp, what's the matter? The Chicago, what's the matter? Young Riyadh, I know it's I know it's a little earlier for you, but what's wrong? You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it, right? And then it allows you to see, it allows you to know that, hey, I called him. He answered. He speaking to him was this was the result. If I calmed you down, you can say, yo, I know he's that person because I had that experience. There's no longer belief. I believe in you. No, I know you. I believe that God can do it. No, I know he can do it. How do I know? Because the experience counts. Now there's a witness to your situation, right? If Miss Chicago, if Scorpio, if Scorp sends me a hat and it's a nice texture, I can't no longer say I think she does a great job. I have to admit that I know that the job that she done was great. It might fit well on my ears. It may if it's a skull cap, it fits on my head evenly. If it's a winter hat, it covers my ears. It's not scratching my ears. It's not itchy to my ears. It fits. It keeps my ears warm. Then there's an elevation from believing to knowing that she knits a hell of a hat, right? Because I got the experience of wearing something that she has developed or made, and then she comes to an understanding. Hey, that's a satisfied customer. I know I can do it now. It's no longer a expectation. You know you can do it because the evidence shows you that it has occurred. You have one customer that says, you know what, this hat is spot on. It keeps my ear warm. My ears don't get wet when it rains, so on and so forth. That is a thing of cognization. That means you got the understanding. You have the knowing aspect that hat fits you well, and that's something that we all can develop ourselves into, from a believing aspect to a knowing aspect. It's no longer a thought. Now it's an experience. The thought process is gone. The only process that thinking comes, can I improve this even more? That's where we should be at this particular time in our lives. If we are there, then we can develop to be a better version than what we are today. I still know that I have room of growth. My question is, can I achieve it with so much going on in my life? Right? You got this, you got that, you got kids, you got family dynamics going on in your life. Can you still elevate to that higher self? Why you could still be consistently there for the family? Why you still could consistently be there for your children? Now you have to see, can you elevate yourself? Can I get to a greater peace now? Because we all know that sometimes the kids can ruffle our feathers. Sometimes the family could lean on us a little bit harder than anybody else because they know they cognize that you are going to be there. You are going to be that person that they can pour into And even if they don't reciprocate it, it's up to you to develop yourself to say, you know what, I have to be better because I did offer myself to people, and some people may take advantage of it. These are the things that we have to understand before it's over. My hat's gonna be all over the world. And you know what? Now that you believe that, you're gonna work harder to prove that that's going to be a realization. And that IZE prefix. That means you're gonna make it happen. This is exactly what Cognize is. Now that you're gonna make it happen. You made it possible that belief now is a knowing aspect because you combined it. You made it occur. You conformed it into a reality, right? Your mind says you can do it, but now that you've done it, it's no longer, it's going to happen. Now it's up to you to make it happen, Scorp. And I know that you have the drive. It's up to you to make that drive happen. It doesn't matter what I know. I believe in. I can believe in you. You must know it, and that's the difference in how we go forward in life. We must know we can become the people that we are supposed to be, or strive to it. Just because it's like reaching for the stars, right? You can grab the first piece of air right in front of you. Can you grab even higher? Can you go to the higher height? Can you go to the next higher level in life? Can you do it? It's up to you. Will you do it? It's up to you, right? Because we can do it. That's the belief process. But will we do it? When we do it, that's when we know we have strived to do it. And that's what I'm saying. We have to have that understanding. I think you from the videos I saw of you, Scorpio Mama, with the booth that you had, I see people gravitated to you. I see some people came over there, brought your hat. If nobody brought it, if they brought a lot of your stuff, and if they didn't bring it back, you know that it was worth it because you, like I told you earlier, you made a satisfied customer. Nobody brought it back to you like, yo, I want a refund. Oh, this does why? Because this is irritating my head, or it's irritating my ears. The scarf irritates my neck, or whatever it is that you made. Nobody's brought it back to you. So now you have a cognization of what has occurred. You have a knowing that, hey, my product is good. Nobody brought it back. I haven't had a complaint yet. I made myself available if somebody had a complaint, and I still didn't have, no one has brought a complaint back to me. So that's how you know that your expectation has elevated from that part to a knowing, because nobody came back to you. And of course, Scorp, we're gonna make that enemy mad, because the enemy wants you to doubt. He still wants you to have that believing process. I believe God. No, you should know God by now, because God should have done something in your life to where, you know what, I was out here for a month with no food, and all of a sudden he gravitated me to a situation to where not only do I have food to eat, but I have a new job. I have a better place to live. So on and so forth. That's the relationship that you should be having with the God that you serving anyway, because you should no longer believe in him. You should be knowing him. You should know Jesus for yourself. You should know Allah for yourself. You should know Buddha for yourself. Why? Because the experience and the growth that you have with that God that you serving, it must elevate. It has to happen. You can't think that it's happening. You must know it, because growth is evident. I don't care if it's physical growth, emotional growth, spiritual growth, it will show itself. For the spiritual and emotional part, it's going to show inside out. With our visual eye, but the spiritual aspect is going to develop in spite of what we can physically see. But even with that, you're going to see the reveal is going to happen because of the things you do. If you are Christ-like, you're going to do things that Christ would do. You're going to do things that Jesus would do. You're not just going to just pat somebody on the head and say, well and faithful servant, hey, you all right? You need to talk to somebody. If you want to have a conversation, I'm here for you, right? And those are the things that's going to show and develop itself. It's going to show outwardly, even though it's coming from inside of you. That's the evidence. The evidence is the elevation or the growth or the illumination of what you've been practicing the majority of your life. It shines. The improvement inside of you, it must come out of you. It's going to pour out of you, and that's growth. That's the growth that we're talking about. Yes, Scorp, I see you talking about the black-owned business, but we have to understand. Competition is going to happen regardless, right? But you must still have that knowing that I'm still heads above the rest, right? I'm still that person. I'm still that knitter. I'm still that one that you could depend on, and the people that's going to come back to you is going to be a witness to the situation that you are doing a great job. My 33 brother, what up though? Right? So you must understand that the knowing of a thing is an elevation from the things you are expecting, right? Because expectation is the belief aspect. And when you cognize, when cognization occurs, it's a knowing. It's the elevation from I think to I know. I believe, I know. From emotional to a logical thought process. And those are the things that like I said, it must occur in order for you to say, you know what, I have truly grown. And when it happens, you're going to say to yourself, I have truly grown to be, because I wouldn't have done this 5 years ago. I would have acted that way 5 years ago. If somebody was talking slick to me, I probably would have slapped the hell out of them, right? Things like that. It allows you to see that you have grown, and you know that you've grown, because you would not have responded to a person the way that you responded to a person now back then, right? Somebody stepped on your shoe as a kid. Yo, you need to clean this. Yo, I got the all white Jordans. You gonna respect my shoes, dog? Yo, clean this. Now somebody stepped on your shoe. Yo, all right, I accept your apology. Let's keep it going. I'll clean it myself. Don't worry about it. That's growth. That's you understanding. You ain't got time for that nonsense. You ain't got time to be putting hands on people, because now it's a better understanding of the results if you go ahead and do that. That's what cognize. That's what cognization is. That's what the word cognize means, to conform to a knowing aspect. Once you get to that knowing aspect, you can put that belief process in your pocket. You may need it for somebody, or you may need it for another day. But right now, when you know, it's crazy, right? I don't know how many people used to watch cartoons back in the days, right? But I tell you this much. G.I. Joe used to say this all the time, right? After every episode of G.I. Joe, 90% of the episodes, they would say, knowing is half the battle. And for me, I was like, well, how could knowing be half the battle? Because if you know, Lisa J, how you feeling? If you know what to look for, you can better prepare for it, right? So, for example, if Word has a knowing that people may not receive what I'm saying from this aspect, he's going to change the wording up, no pun intended, to where, okay, y'all understanding what I'm saying now. I don't have to use the big words. I can use these words for you to understand the concept where I'm coming from. You don't have to think about, well, I think I understand. He's going to word it to where you get the point of his definition, of his meaning, of whatever he's talking about, right? If Lisa J, if she just keep it on the aspects of investing, she has to come down for you to understand what it is, what a S&P 500 is, what a stock actually is. She's gonna put it to you to where it's very understandable for you to understand what she's talking about. This is why people gravitate to her. This is why she knows she has the cognization of people understanding her. Why? Because there's people coming to her asking her questions. And the answers that she's giving them, it has to be correct, because who comes to a person that keeps giving the wrong answer, right? And that's the thing that we have to understand. When we are at a cognized state of mind, we at a knowing mind, we have to know that this person is telling me what this person is telling me, it is accurate. Even if they get something wrong, the consistency of what they're telling us is enough for us to say, you know what, they still have a 80% accuracy rate, right? If young Riaz tell me, you know, the rap scene in Europe is a certain way, and I come to find out he's right. He has knowledge of that situation. He has an understanding of what's going on over there. I'm going to lean on him more because he is in that field, right? Like I said, with Score, knitting is her thing. So I'm going to lean on her. How do I knit this to be? How do I knit this to where not too much wind gets on my neck with this scarf? How do I knit this to where it's going to keep the heat inside of me, even if I have little holes in it, you know, just for some of this heat to get out? How do I make it? How could I make the heat stay within without maximizing all of it leaving me? Or however the conversation will go. If she gives you an answer and it works, she knows what she's talking about. She has an understanding what she's talking about. She is cognizant of what the hell she's talking about because she gave you the answer and it was right. And these are the things that we have to do going forward. We have to elevate ourselves from the thought. The thought is the beginning, right? We thought we can do it, right? Then we think we can do it. Well, we started, okay, I can see why, hey, it's possible now. Now the possible is completed. It's done now. It went from possible to probable, from thinking or believing to faith. Now faith allows you to know that God has been there in your life in that situation, in that example. I have faith in you, God, that you're going to come through. Now that he comes through, I know you're going to come through. So then, because you know that faith now becomes faith, you become faithful to the God that you serve. Because now you know, now that the realization of the situation happened, the experience happened, you have an understanding that God brought me through this situation. Word has helped me to do a lot of research. So now I know that researching matters. I know that it matters because it gives me clarity into exactly what I'm talking about. Shout out to him. He's the one that gave me this word because I was trying to figure out a word to get you from believing to knowing. And I was coming up with natural words or easy words, transcending, things like that. While it's elevating, I want you to understand, even if you elevate, you may not get to the knowing aspect. This word allows me to show you that you elevated from believing with doubt to knowing without doubt. So this is why this word is possible. And this is why I chose this word, because it allows you to see the elevation from, whether it's emotion to logical, from believing to knowing. This word helps us to get to that understanding. What up, though?
What up, though, bro? My bad, man. I was up late with my son, trying to get him back to sleep. I still got drool on the side of my face. I just hopped on real quick.
What's going on though? What's going on?
Man, chilling, bro. I gotta go. You was cooking when I came in, man. I gotta go back to the beginning, man. You was, bro. When you get words, man. I'm telling you, man. You got a gift, man. Go ahead and keep cooking. My brain firing up. I'm listening
No,
to you,
I'm like
man.
us, you know, I just want people to have that understanding that the growth, the growth is needed. Like in this life, we have to understand elevation is the necessity. You can't just go around just thinking that, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks because you conform to what people telling you. But when you have the belief to say that I still can grow, you're gonna try these things. You may not try it at the rate that you want, but you're gonna do it. Just imagine how many people who would have gave up if they was, these millionaires, these billionaires, if they stopped working on themselves at the age of 40. They wouldn't have no belief in themselves. But now that they know they can do it, they still growing. Bill Gates, he y'all see what he's doing. I don't even want to mention him. Bezos, Zuckerberg, they still developing themselves. BDB, what up, Nine? How you feeling? How you living? Right? But you must understand there's a growth process. This is why I went this way, right? We went from believing through expectations. What is the expectations of you, not just for outside of you, but you yourself? Do you think that you could become that person that's marriage material? Do you think you that woman that someone's going to propose to? Do you think you that man that someone's going to accept it? And then you work on yourself. Now that you know that you are, you get the answers that you get. You propose, your wife said yes, right? Word. And she felt you was the one too. So now she knows that y'all compatible. And what are y'all, 11, 12 years in? Y'all know that
Mhm.
it's we are still together. Why? Because we have continued to grow even within our own marriage. The elevation still must occur. So you went from a belief like, damn, she's the one. Nah, I know she's the one. Here you go,
I know
babe. Will
she
you
the one.
marry me? Right. Because you elevated from that thought, like, I don't think this shit no more, man. She's it. And how do you know she's it? Because you ain't go look, you have this is how we know Word didn't have no doubt. Stop me if I fall out of line, Word proposed to his wife. There's no prenup involved. So he knows she was it. We in this for the long haul. If there was a doubt, yo, babe, let's go to marriage counseling. Let's go to the let's draw out this prenup so you don't take from me, I won't take from you, just in case we break up, right? But that's not what he did. He married her. They went on and had children. This is one Word said. Listen, I ain't had no kids. I'm not doing this outside of marriage. He said she's the one, and now he has two children with his wife. That's a knowing aspect. That's the cognization of what you know that this woman will be in your life. And that's the thing that we have to understand. You gotta have that knowing aspect. If BDB don't know, if BDB thinks he just know music, he's not gonna just make the concept. But when you know it, you're gonna be consistent. And how do we know? We know he's consistent because people are gravitating to him. He has done what he knew he could do. He has explored music. He has allowed people, you know, to come in, have these music contests. He promotes it. We vote. They get a confidence in themselves. Now they know that they can do it. This is what cognization is. And if I'm lying, I'm flying. But I'm just telling y'all, when you know, you know. Knowing's half the battle, but there's still room to grow. But it's up to you to decide, can you go to the highest of heights? Go ahead, Word.
Man, bro, like even what you said when I got when I got married, bro. There's so many things people do because they don't know what to expect. It was the experience and time I spent with her. It was the understanding of myself, the understanding of her that got me to that level, got me to the cognization aspect. And like even with my bank accounts, bro, I got a couple bank accounts, and she on every one of them. We don't have one bank account that neither one of us is on. A lot of couples do that because they'll tell you you need to have your own. You need because they don't know yet. They still have that belief, and belief has doubt incorporated into it. So when you believe, it's still doubt there. But like you said, when you in that cognization aspect, then you just know, and that's where wisdom comes in. Knowing is uh like when you know something, it elevates you to that wisdom aspect of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are just they're aware of things, right? When you become aware, then like I use that concept, understand, overstand. When you're aware, you under the information. When you understand, you in the information. But when you overstand, you have the ability not to only create but manipulate. And that's where we need to get to the point like where we No, like when you was cooking about when people say I believe in God, belief is a process of knowing. You know, you believe in things until you know, and that's the elevation itself. Um, and how do you get to know God? You have to experience God, man. You have to experience God in your everyday life. And when you begin to experience God, there's no doubt that God exists to you. It might not exist to everybody else, but you have that understanding. And that's just that wisdom because you experience God. People don't really experience God. They just get to that aspect of believing. And that's why most people suffer or, don't understand or just still have that doubt, that belief.
Yeah, because a lot of like I think people, because of what we've been taught the majority of our life, right? We all was taught that everything is not is the only thing that's inside of you is a thought, because your brain is inside of you. No, your emotions are inside of you. Your learning capability, all of this is inside of you. The growth of your spirituality, the growth of your emotional state, all of this is inside of you. But because we've been taught outside and we gravitate to things of the outside world. But when you know everything starts within you, right? There's a saying in most Christianity churches, well, not Episcopalian, Church of God in Christ, Baptist, they tell you, you know, you are the church. I mean, God, that means God dwells within you. If we take that, if we understand, if we know that God is within us, we don't have to seek outside. We don't have to go to the edification of the church building, because if God dwells within us, we know that we are the church because he's already with us already. But because we are told to come to church, we got to pay our tithes and offering, this, that, and the third. That makes us stay there, right? Because here's the thing about church, and I want people to understand this, and I know this may ruffle some people's feathers, but here's the truth, right? If the church is like a hospital, right? We know that the hospital is going to not heal us, but it's going to contain the damage that we've done. They're
It's
not.
going to
They're
treat
not.
us.
Yeah, it's gonna treat us to where, all right, you can go back home, but come back in 2 weeks to make sure it doesn't happen. Now, if you are really a person of healing, your job is to heal me to where I don't have to come back to you, right? We do the routine checks every 6 months. You check the blood work. All right, you guys are fine. I don't have to medicate you. They don't like that. They want to find something wrong with you so you can keep the
Mic check. Did bro go quiet? Is that just me, y'all? Or did he? Can y'all hear the Gary in the chat, bro? BDB, what it do with the business is, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Hey, I think bro went silent for a minute. But like bro was saying, when he was talking about like the hospital, or if the church is like the hospital, I think I'm gonna try to take it where he was going. So if the church is like the hospital, right? Hospital, the etymology, hospital is hospice, right? Hospice means to comfort. So it's not even to heal you, it's to comfort you. Now you translate that over to the church. Church is to comfort you, but you still got to do the work. You still got to heal. The healing aspect comes from within. It don't come from outside. So the church is cool. It's a stepping stone. It's to get you to the belief aspect. But once you get to believe, you got to keep doing the work to get to the knowing aspect. That's the cognization process is the knowing that there's no doubt. There's no doubt involved. This is something I know. And think about how you go about things when you know it versus when you believe it. When you know something is possible, even when things don't go your way, you become more resilient because you know the outcome. Like you know you're capable of this, even if you didn't accomplish it the first time. You know, like I just keep thinking, if I keep moving, and it's gonna happen. So you go at it a little bit more vigorously. You know, you go at it with more force. It's not an option. Like that's why I tell people, like I use ignorance, right? I use ignorance when it comes to failure. Like I am ignorant to failure because anything I put my mind to, I know eventually it's
Check,
gonna
mic
happen.
check.
It might take long, it might take short, but I know it's gonna occur. So I just keep going at it. My bad. Go ahead, bro. I wanted to make sure
No, I
you.
appreciate that. I appreciate that technical difficulty came up. But shout out to the 9%. Where better user, better us. We're gonna rock with each other, just to keep the conversation going. What was you saying? I missed a lot.
No, I was talking about. I was using your analogy as far as like healing and relating it to the church. And I was saying, even you still have to. I mean, like hospital means hospice. Hospice means to comfort. You know, but to heal is work to be done. So, like, if the church was considered like the hospital, it's a
Oh.
good starting point, right? It's a good starting point. But once you get that information, you got to take it to the next level, to the knowing aspect. You have to cognize the information to the point where it's known. So you have to apply it. But I know you probably was taking it somewhere else, but that's the best way I can use that analogy.
No, 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 no. That's fine. Listen, man. The goal is, like I said, the goal is not for me to be right. The goal is not for you to be right. The goal is to get the people to understand that what we're talking about is correct. So whatever aspect you coming from, if it resonate with the people, that's what matters, right? It take
Hmm.
like when you've been an individual for so long, right? We've been told that we got to do things on our own. We're told we're born alone, we're gonna die alone. But what we ain't taught that in between those times, we are here for people to work with, to grow with, to develop with. And when you have that knowing, understanding that you are here to help somebody, the independent aspect gets pushed to the side because just because you come up with an idea don't mean that you have to run with it by yourself. You still going to need people to help you improve that understanding, that idea, the thought of uh you know 1 plus 1 is 2. If you know that you're going to need the help, it allows you to seek people that's going to help you. They say like-minded people draw to each other, but if you independent, the like-mindedness ain't going to matter because you don't care. It's my way or no way. So what you talking about is irrelevant. That's a part of the growing aspect. That's what cognization is. When you know that you ain't supposed to do anything by yourself, you allow the help to come in. Don't wait to where you are dependent on the help because you can't do it by yourself. Because if you do it for the long stretch of time, you will be able to accept help from anywhere as long as it's genuine. But because people don't have that ideology, they just think that their way is the best way. So I don't mind, your concept. If it helps to make the point right, then it's right. We don't have to take the credit for it.
And this, this aligns so much with not only what I was talking about last night, but we was talking about on your show. Like this belief aspect lead can lead to delusion. Delusion is holding on to a belief that's already been proven, right? So when you believe in something, you accepting it without information. So that's another great reason why you should get to that level of knowing. And that's what happens often, bro. People get stuck into that belief aspect, and because we were told belief is something to hold on to, versus it's a process almost a process of elimination, bro, to see what's factual and what's not, and that's through observation. That's work.
Absolutely. That's the work that we have to do, right? But because we are so busy, but here's the thing, and this is where a lot of it, to me, it hurts a lot because we work from the outside, right? We only work from the outside aspect. Like when we say working, people think about, 9 to 5s, jobs, and things like that. You must work on yourself too. You must work on your internal being because if you want to be a boss, you have to have the intestinal force, you have to have the discernment and all of those things that's within you in order to be that boss because it's going to try you. People go crazy trying to be a boss. People become crazy because they are a boss. They are responsible for people, things, and ideas. Your word is the final word. You don't think that weighs on somebody's mind? I could make or break a company. I could make or break this individual who's working for me. I could make or break my assistant. All of that counts. But if you don't know that, you just going down there free willy nilly and things start to fall apart. That's going to fall on you. So there must be a growth process for you to be able to be that boss. That's why you should start as an intern and go through the processes. That's what growth is about. And when you get to the power of knowing, the cognization, striving for the wisdom part of knowledge, you will understand why you had to go through those steps in the first place. Everybody want to be rich. So you hit the lotto, what's going to happen? You're going to blow it before you know it. Why? Because you never had the experience of having any type of money to value and appreciate what it is that you possess in the first place. That's why so many people just, all right, I'm going to go buy a house. Okay, you buy a house. Do you know you got to pay taxes on it? So now that you broke, you ain't working. Who's going to pay the taxes? Who's going to keep the
Hmm.
upkeep of this home? What happens if your heating system breaks down? What happens if your water pipe bursts? You don't have that understanding, but because we have the opportunity to do it without the understanding or the knowing aspect, that's why we fail because we ain't get the process of knowing. This is what cognization is. This is why I'm telling you, cognize. You can believe you can do it all you want because when you get there, because there's going to be an opportunity when you get there, you got to see if you fit the place. This is what I tell people about praying, right? You can pray all you want. The God that you serve is not going to give it to you. The God that you serve is going to put you in position to see if you are able to handle it. And if you are able to handle it, then everything will be added unto you. It's not added onto you just because you ask. He's going to know, or the God that you serve is going to know exactly where you are, put you in that position and see if it works for you. And if it don't work for you, you can't get mad at them because you didn't do the work. And if you do the work, you know you're going to get everything coming to you. That's the understanding and knowing how the situation with God works in your life. If he could pull you out of a dark thing, he's don't you think he gonna let you be in that place that you asked for? But you got to do the work. You can ask God to pull you out, but you pulled yourself out by doing the work because you you had that thought that you can do it. Now that the thought process, the expectation of you doing it is complete, now you know you can do it, and that's where the elevation comes from.
And that analogy reminds me of you remember that book, The Secret, when it's talking about the law of manifestation. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody start reading this book and they believe they can manifest, and then when they seen just thinking, holding the thought about something didn't work, the belief kind of faded, but they didn't know the process of it because it's other things
Right.
incorporated, like action, compensation. You have to do something to get something. So that's a part of the manifestation process. Understanding the duality, law of rhythm. There's other laws. That was only the seventh universal law. But the person writing the book, they saying a lick. They saying I can hustle these people, and they did. They got off on it because they just gave you one aspect of it. But if you had that mindset of getting to know things, not only would you heard that, you would have went back and looked at everything else like, oh, okay, so yeah, this does work, but I have to do this and this and this. This has to be done. This has to be in place for it to work. And now, like, I know how it works. So I was telling people, they was like, no, that ain't what the book say. I'm like, bro, look, I've been kind of doing this for a minute now. I'm telling you, I know. I don't believe. You believe. That's why you approach it the way you do. I know. That's why I approach it the way I do. So even those two concepts, like I was just saying, like when you know something and you don't get the result right away, resilience develops, and or if you already have it, it kicks in because you know, like, okay, yeah, it ain't happen now, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen later. So you approach it, you don't give up. Even if you did it 100 times, you know that 101 time might be the one. So you keep going.
Yes,
But
sir.
when you have a belief, as soon as that doubt set in, bro, that's where you go to. That's why a lot of times you hear people say, I grew up in the church and this and I don't believe no more in God. Not They don't say I don't believe in church no more. I understand that because I don't believe in church no more. But because when I got the new God, I knew God wasn't in no church. I didn't need a middleman to connect with the divine being. And then it made most people, like, when they hear of anthropomorphism, right? Most people be like, "Oh, damn, that's what I was doing. I was assigning human traits to God, so it was really me creating God." No, that was you comprehending God or trying to understand God. But when you get to know God, you know, man, God is not defined by anything that we can honestly perceive. God is beyond our conception. And you accept that because you experience that. But some people
Yeah,
believe, and when they understand that they can't perceive God from the five senses, then they throw God away, or they throw the understanding or concept of God away because it can't exist. It's
yeah.
not logical. Why would God be logical, bro? Why would God be a man? That don't make sense. Why would God limit itself to what we are when it's beyond our conception in the first place? Like, anything we try to
Yep.
explain, why did God make bees, bro? Oh, to pollinate and do this, but why he ain't make it bigger? Why he ain't make it smaller? You know what I'm saying? Why they gotta sting people? Everything about a bee has a purpose, bro. Even the way it annoy the
Hmm.
shit. Bees keep us in line sometimes, right? Motherfuckers be tripping, bees come out and shit. Get that ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? So everything has a purpose, even suffering, bro. Suffering has a purpose. I don't know if you was listening last night when I was talking about the Ethiopian Bible, and I was talking about how they portrayed Satan, right? Satan in that Bible had a purpose for God. Like, now you know how I be making fun of people when they say when they talk about Satan, and I always reference Job, how God and Satan was kicking, right? But wasn't from the way they taught us, shouldn't Satan be locked up somewhere in hell? At that point, Satan should be locked somewhere up in hell, bro. Why is he kicking it with God? When did this happen?
Hmm.
Be- You see what I'm saying? But the
Uh,
Ethiopian Bible
no,
explains it.
yeah, and even and I tell people, even in the regular Bible, right? If you have the understanding, right? If you know that a year is 1,000 days, a day is 1,000 years of God, right? And in the Revelations, it tells you that God is going to release Satan 1,000 years. Do you not understand that 1,000 years every day to us? So every day you're going to have that battle. That's the duality that
Hmm.
comes with the good and the bad, the yin and the yang, so on and so forth. You have to have that knowing concept, or at least the understanding process, to understand to get to the knowing aspect. You want the logic must kick in somewhere. Even at its lowest level, logic will allow you to see things in a futuristic situation. That's why it's an elevation from belief, right? And we also have to understand, we say, what was I want to say? A picture is worth, action speaks louder than words, right? So in order for action to speak louder than words, that means you must do the action in order to see if it's going to match up with your words, or is it going to elevate from the words that you're saying? Because if it doesn't elevate, you just talking, you still thinking, you still dreaming, you still wishing. But when you get to the knowing aspect, everything is higher than what you thought. Like, oh my God, I did not know that this was going to be an everyday battle. Why? Because if it told you 1,000 years, a day is 1,000 years, you must come to the understanding that that battle is going to occur. If you understand that you're going to lose some battles, but the goal is to win the war, you must understand that some days are not going to be good for you. But if you just fall on your sword because you had a bad day, then you quit and you ain't going to win. But that's the growth and the cognization of knowing what's being told to you. That's why words are more than what people understand them to be. That's why when I say words will never hurt you, that's the biggest lie, because words can kill you, but words could empower you. That's why they say the power of the tongue is in your possession. But people don't understand that either. But when you come to a knowing aspect of it, you know why you must be careful of who you talk to, how you speak to them, and how you receive what they say to you.
Mm. Man, I've been feeling like Bill Withers. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. I'm telling you, bro. It changes like when you even that going through the process, man. The more you do stuff, the better you get at it, right? And I'm pretty sure you or whoever listened to BDB because he got a craft, Scorp because she got a craft, even young Riaz, he started something now and he's doing it more effortlessly than when he started. That's the
Mhm.
knowing aspect. Like when you go through that process so many times and you start something new, like, look, I'm gonna start off, it might be a little slow, might be a little rough, but the more I do it, the better I'm gonna get at it. So again, that's how the process of knowing brings you builds other aspects that has byproducts like resilience, confidence, self-esteem.
Mhm.
Going through that process builds these other aspects about yourself. The more you do stuff, the more confident you become in your skill, the better you get at it, rather. The better you get at things, the more confidence you get. Confidence is your ability to do things, right? So the more you do it, the better you get at it, the more confidence it builds. When you talk about self-esteem, the belief in self, the way you look at yourself, the more you accomplish things, the greater you know you. Those things, when people say things about me, bro, I'd be like, shit, you don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I accomplished. You really don't know me. So that don't bother me. That's your assumption. You're assuming. Smart people don't assume, bro. I'm telling you. I'm about to do a show, how to identify intelligence. Smart people don't assume nothing, bro.
And that's where we at right now. And this is what I'm telling people. To assume is that's damn near
It's
believing.
belief. I know, I know, I know, I know.
Right. And and I don't want to and what I'm about to say, I don't want nobody to take offense to it, right? When you assume you believe, and we know what happens when you assume. You make an ass out of yourself. And sometimes
Mm,
me, because I might fall for the assumption that you think you know me. So I'm not gonna sit there. That's why it's hard for me to accept what people think of me. I don't care what you think of me. I know who I am. If I tell you I'm that person that's going to be there for you, I know I'm going to do it. If you call me 4 o'clock in the morning, if I'm able to wake up out my sleep and answer that phone, you're going to have my attention. Not because I'm mad, it's because you have to have that right reason to call me. Now, if you call me on some nonsense, I'm banging it on you. Now that's natural. I don't care what nobody say. That's a part of nature. You're gonna be upset
mhm.
if somebody call you about some nonsense. But when you know it's important, you're gonna give that person the time and opportunity to express themselves the way they need to express themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's the knowing aspect, right? Stop believe. It's time for us to stop believing and start to grow into the knowing aspect. I know, like I said, if you want to get to the religious aspect and say I am, now is I'm above I am. I shall, I will. It's elevations even in those type of talks. That's why there's seven, according to what word is teaching. There's seven root chakras, and each chakra, as much as you elevate, there's a different word for each elevating aspect of the chakra, from the root to the crown. There's seven different affirmation words that's going to help you get there. You're not going to be at I am, because if you at I am, you're still at the basis of the root of the situation. I shall, I will, and so on and so forth is going to be elevated in you because you are growing in that process. That's what we need to understand going forward. There's still growth, even if we are trying to get to the highest level of ourselves. Just because you satisfied with it, don't mean that you should be satisfied and be stagnated. There's still room to grow. It's up to you to grow.
Definitely, bro. You was cooking on her, man. Let me jump off so I had to jump in the shower and everything. But
All right,
bro, I
guys, get
appreciate this
yourself ready.
conversation. Bro, this was
I
some
appreciate you
inspiration for
for
the
adding
day,
to the
bro.
conversation. Absolutely.
There's just some I'm about to
Absolutely.
go know some other things,
Absolutely.
bro. It's like some things I'm about to dig into today. I had it planned, but now I'm just like eager to do it. And that's what a better you, a better us is, man. It's coming together as a collective, having these conversations. Hopefully, when people leave, they know something they didn't know when they came in. That's the goal, man. I don't want you leaving with nothing. With nothing. Like, no, not when you come rock out with the nine. I don't want you leaving with nothing. I want you to either feel good, think good, or be good. One of the three aspects. Either feel good, think good, or be good. The mind, body, soul. We about to get back into that. Tay got me.
I'm just saying.
Bro, I had another point of clarity. Like my seventh chakra was reopening because it definitely closed in the last couple months. But I had a level of clarity. Uh, like even like every time I hear people say the Trinity, they don't realize like the Trinity is within you. It's the three aspects of yourself: the Father, the Mother, and the Son.
Mhm.
The immature part, the mature part, and the part that dictates everything, the conscious self, physical aspect of it. That's Father. The mother is the conscious, the son is the child, the kid, our emotion. You know, so yeah, we're gonna rock out with that.
Absolutely. Shout out to Tay, and but that's what makes I'm gonna give her flowers, even though she's not here. But that's what makes her unique, right? That's what makes y'all chemistry the way that it was. This is what draws. That's what drew a lot of us to you. The fire and ice, the day and night. She's going to challenge you with questions. I'm gonna stimulate your brain. This is what she
Hmm.
do. And every time you guys have a conversation, there's an illumination that goes on. And that's why I always tell her, continue to be a blessing. I know, she's handling life the way she's handling it as far as, her worldly situation as far as working and doing all those things. This is why she's missed. This is why, as much as she, just a sight of her, it brings an illumination. This is why she's a blessing. So shout out to Tay. Shout out to Word. Shout out to the 9% BDB Commander. We miss you, Commander. Let me say that, let me say that out loud. We miss you, right? Because we all have an individual basis, right? We are all individuals, but yet at the same time, we stimulate one another. We allow each other to see a different aspect. We all want growth within the group from a individual basis. Together we can grow. We know that part. We know that there's cognization in that. But when we ask each other questions, we develop. We challenge ourselves to grow up, even not to grow up, to grow in even more. And this is why, me personally, I feel like I'm in the right space because I am willing to help you, challenge you to become a better version of yourself. Like I said, if I get to the point to where I am hindering you and not helping you, y'all feel free to tell me. And if you don't speak to me after that, I will have total understanding of it because I need to figure out what I did wrong if you not growing in yourself. Right? This is more of an improvement than encouragement, right? We encourage you to improve naturally, but we want you to improve. But you got to have that fire to come from a belief process to a knowing process. So I just want to thank everybody that came through to have this conversation. Uh, Shout out to Riaz, shout out to BDB, shout out to Lisa J, shout out to my 33 brother, shout out to Scorpio, and did I miss any? Miss Chicago. Miss Chicago, you continue to be a blessing too. When we get that rare opportunity to hear you speak, right? You, I, you know how I feel about you. I always say you should start something because you have that conversation that can motivate, and nothing moves without motivation. So, you continue to be a blessing too, Miss Chicago. But with that being said, this is me getting ready to sign off. I appreciate everybody coming through. I'll be back soon, with something else to have a conversation with. But until next time, y'all have a good day. Y'all continue to be blessings to somebody. I'm out.